same intersection, different TRE train, one crash, one fire, one documentary. Welcome to the TRE train crash and fire. On November 21st, 2018, a TRE train was heading towards Dallas, Texas from Fort Worth, Texas, where it left from. The leader was TRE F59PH 120. This unit was originally an Ontario train locomotive, but it got repainted after Ontario gave it to them. Otherwise, the TRE train was heading towards Dallas, Texas, but unfortunately, it did not make it very far after it was heading for Dallas, Texas. While TRE 120 was on its way to Dallas, Texas, it approached the Calloway Cemetery Road railroad crossing, which was considered dangerous due to the fact that a train also crashed here due to a dump truck standing in front of the train tracks before it crashed into it, causing 124 to get repaired in Montreal, which was thanks to Canadian Pacific. Anyways, let's get back to the topic here. Eventually, the truck driver began to understand that what he was doing was wrong, but he just didn't want to get out of his car, even though his life was in stake against a rampaging TRE 120 train heading straight for them. And when he could open his mouth to say more, it happened. The train knocked over the tank car and made it fall onto the train tracks, while TRE 120 was heading for the bridge. That proved that the notorious Calloway Cemetery Road railroad crossing is dangerous in all to itself. Cleaning up the derailed truck began almost immediately, but there was some consequences to the accident, especially one thing that was on the railroad crossing itself. One of the consequences was that the cantilever signal on the other side of the accident fell over the gated part, and the cantilever was scorched with smoke. The tank was really mutilated after the crash, so it was probably going to get scrapped if it exploded. And worse, the crash happened on Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the morning, which was dangerous enough that it could cause nothing but damages to the whole railroad. The train suffered some minor damage, and most of the damage was fire damage, because the color scheme kind of burned itself off, with the cab door open, and the front of the nose was damaged too, while it was also had some damages with its other pieces of the front train. But the bell was not broken, so that was good, and that tells you when the train is about to cross tracks. But unfortunately, this train was in very, very bad shape and needed to get towed. While the tank car was on its side, it was on the verge of leaking and exploding, and when it did, just leaking, but it did not explode. So luckily, the railroad company managed to clean up the tank car and send it back to where it came from. Luckily, the people inside the truck survived the wreck. The locomotive itself wasn't as lucky as the tank truck was. And the same bad luck at the cantilever signal on the Calloway Cemetery Road. The signal itself on the cantilever signal was damaged too. So, what happened to the locomotive after the wreck? Let's find out. TRE 120 was never heard of again, and it's possible that the TRE locomotive 120 was scrapped due to the fact that it got smoked in the face. There's another detail I want to point out. Only 7 passengers inside 120 were injured, and the locomotive was going over an alarming of 79 miles per hour, heading straight for Dallas, Texas. But that was where the bad news came. It never made it to Dallas, Texas, to stop at the last station there. But it is still good news that some of the TRE trains are still there as F40 or F59PH locomotives, and then there's the decently fancier new ones numbered after this. But it is still kind of sad that 120 was destroyed and got scrapped at the site. But luckily 121 is similar to 120, so it'll probably take over all 121 services, while everything else still remains the same. Apart from the F59PH locomotives, there is other locomotive brands that are taking over the TRE service, especially the ones that look like the ones at the Metrolink in California. But it is kind of still sad that 120 is gone, but the rest of the locomotives that include 121, 122, and 123 still work, and they're F59PHs as well. And I hope this time there won't be any more TRE train crashes, but there is accidents, and those are I'm not going to document. Here's the caption samples here, and even pictures too. And a reminder is probably needed so we cannot forget about the 2 crashes that happened in August and November. And that includes the dump truck drivers and tanker drivers today and train drivers today. Do not do the same thing that the 120 locomotive did and 124 did. It did say there was a third crash, but there is no third crash. There's only 2, and that's it.